everyone. Welcome to Married with Wrestling. I am Susan, and this is Chris. And we are here. Typically, we talk about what's happened throughout the week, but this time, since there's been some pay-per-views, premium live events, we're going to talk about
Wrestledream.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I want to say Dream Castle so bad.
No.
We will talk about...
That's probably an anime somewhere.
So we'll talk about Wrestledream and...
the fallout from Bad Blood.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm struggling.
Yeah. NXT debuted on the CW. Ethan Page lost his title. NXT's just kind of keep trucking and heading to Halloween Havoc.
Are we going to do NXT first?
There's not going to be much to cover in NXT. That's why I'm summing it up now.
Okay.
So we'll dive into Wrestledream. So Wrestledream, I think you can call it eventful.
Yeah.
Because, well, first of all, the matches were all pretty solid.
They were.
There wasn't really a bad match on the card at all.
I will tell on myself that I did fall asleep only during what was the match right before Jericho's match?
Private Party and Young Bucks.
I started to fall asleep during that match, and then I was asleep during Jericho's match, and then I woke up ready to go for the main event. But in my defense, it was later. That was past my bedtime.
I mean, the online discourse pretty much determined that Bucks, Private Party, and Jericho Briscoe were the weak points of the show.
I mean, that is... I did fall asleep during the Bucks match.
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking last night, I remember their match ending, and then them saying Jericho's match was on, and I was like, oh, sweet, I can sleep a little bit more. But I'm regretting doing that. But anyway, we'll just start from the top, though, with the pay-per-view.
I'm not going to go match by match, because mainly I don't remember the match order of everything.
I know the first match was Jay White and
Hangman, and that set the bar high for the night, but I'm not surprised. You put Jay White and Hangman in a match, and that they're going to do their thing.
Yeah.
I do know second was Mariah May, because people pointed out it's like the third pay-per-view in a row she's been the second match, or something like that. And her and Willow knocked it out of the park.
It was good, yeah.
Willow's really good. Willow's the real deal. Yeah. I saw people in the online discourse, they're like, okay, Willow versus Brody King win? That would be fun, I won't lie. But it's weird, that was the only women's match on the card. They've been building Mercedes and Chris Statlander, and honestly, they've had less build to put matches on pay-per-view, so I'm surprised this one didn't make its way on there. I have a feeling it might have been because they put on their Hologram versus Beast Mortos in a 2 out of 3 falls match, which is random until you find out that Fox Sports Mexico is going to start carrying all of AEW's pay-per-views, so that was probably on there to get the Fox Sports Mexico people interested. It was kind of AEW's much shorter version of put the title on Jinder Mahal because we want to get Indian fans.
True.
But they just did it with a 2 out of 3 falls match, and a pretty good one at that.
Yeah.
Hologram's good. Beast Mortos is great. I
don't know how Beast Mortos does it with
I don't know.
mask.
I don't know.
If
I ever meet the Beast Mortos, the first thing I'm going to ask him is, how the hell do you even function in that mask, let alone do what you do in the ring?
Yeah, because you have... What mask do you have?
I have a psychosis mask that I bought in Mexico.
To wear that.
Yeah, I couldn't even see the slot machines I was playing in the casino on the cruise with that thing. So I don't know how people go out there and, wrestle like they do with masks. It's insane. And it's very hot in there as well. I don't know how they do it. And Beast Mortos looks like it would just be...
heavy?
Beast Mortos mask looks like something we would have seen in Salem last weekend. With the intricate detail and the way that it's made.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. And that match did slap. Hologram did take his first pin, but he didn't lose yet. Yeah. So Hologram's on a weird undefeated streak that AEW is drawing attention to, but they're not really putting him in any title programs.
I was thinking of the other day, during the pay-per-view, I was like, why do you keep... Because he's won, 15 matches now?
Yeah, this is number 15.
And it's like, why do you keep focusing on that, but you just have him do random matches?
But yet you have... And everybody keeps drawing this example, and I have to agree. Kyle Fletcher gets a shot at Okada after losing 3 straight matches. Clean it up, Tony. Come on.
Yeah.
This is when the ranking system kind of helped, because now just things are all willy-nilly. But I understand where people think that's restrictive as well, because it doesn't really leave room for somebody to be a surprise, challenger or whatever. So I kind of get where they're coming from there. Match of the night for me was Ospreay, Ricochet, and Takeshita. Those 3 dudes, I spent half of that match with just my jaw on the floor. Like, I understand their style of wrestling isn't everybody's cup of tea, but you can't take away from the fact that what they do is damn impressive.
My match of the night? See, that I liked that match, but, like, it was a little too pre-spot planned for me a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like, the one part, it was just too pre-planned, and I even commented on it, but, like... Mm-hmm. My match of the night was probably Darby Allin and Brody King.
Really? I wouldn't have expected you to pick that one.
I know. I don't know why that just sticks out the most to me. And I think it's just because Brody King is so large compared to Darby. Mm-hmm. And Darby just flies like he weighs like 2 pounds everywhere. So like...
I love it because I feel like if you watch, it's like Brody King's purpose on this planet is to kill Darby Allin.
Yeah.
Because it happens so often.
Yeah.
But last night, they ended on mutual respect.
Yeah.
Brody shook his hand before he left. Darby did win the match.
Yeah.
They did a freaking sick coffin drop on the stairs, and everybody was talking about how, like, it's actually safer that Brody sat there and laid there and took the move rather than everybody thought he was going to move, and Darby was just going to off the stairs.
Yeah.
But, man, I know they make jokes in wrestling about the steel steps and how, like, everybody's like, oh, they make him seem indestructible and stuff. I'm sorry. When people hit him, it looks like it fucking hurts. Like, whenever Drew McIntyre did his Claymore and missed to CM Punk at Bad Blood, and he hit back first on those stairs, that looks like it hurts. You have a bad back. That has to, like, hurt your soul.
I don't know why people make it seem like that wouldn't hurt. Like, I will gladly throw whoever says it's not going to hurt. I will gladly throw them on a couple steel steps for them. Mm-hmm. I'll do it if they want me to.
It does. It looks painful.
I don't know why they think it wouldn't hurt. It's you bump your knee on anything, it's going to hurt. So why wouldn't that hurt being thrown on it?
I sliced my thumb cutting lettuce the other day, and it still hurts. And that was 2 days ago. Like, and it's not even that big. It's very, very small.
I think that people a lot of times in wrestling world, like, they're like, okay, yes, like, the results are staged. You know it's going to happen, but it's still real what they do.
Yeah, people really get hurt doing that stuff.
Yes.
They really get hurt doing that stuff.
Yeah.
So let's see, what other matches did we have? We talked about Jericho and Mark Briscoe was better than everybody thought it was going to be. I think Jericho has overstayed his welcome. I will agree with that. But his match with Mark Briscoe, the online discourse, it sounds to a lot of people, they're like, okay, yeah, Jericho still has it when he needs it.
I think that Jericho is just, he's suffering from that, which I think it makes sense. I understand. Mm-hmm. Like, wrestlers love their job. Mm-hmm. And they love their job so much they don't want to give it up.
No, they made a whole documentary about The Undertaker about that.
No, it's just kind of like, I think that we forget, because we typically hate our jobs, mm-hmm. that, like, that's what happens when you love your job. You don't want to give it up. So,
it's very, if you think about it, it's kind of crazy because, like, in the early days of wrestling, you hear about how the older wrestlers were addicted to pills, and, you know, there was something that brought down Kurt Angle. But you can tell, talking to those old dudes and how they don't give it up, wrestling itself is an addiction.
Yes. Yes.
It is. And it's, you know, you see it with anybody that's done it and talked about it and loves it. Like, they don't know how they're going to survive without. That's why the retirement tour is always such a popular story. Yeah. Because it's about somebody giving up something that they don't want to give up and they love.
But on the flip side, I do think Jericho should kind of be backstage. So, like, I understand why he doesn't want to give it up. Mm-hmm. But as from, like, a fan's perspective, mm-hmm. I like Jericho. I'd agree with everything he does in his personal life. Mm-hmm. But he's brought me joy when it was really hard to bring me joy with his cruise. Mm-hmm. So I'm always going to have a soft spot for him, I feel like. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's time to kind of do, like, part-time. Like... Mm-hmm. Jeff Jarrett, he doesn't wrestle that much, but he's still around a lot. Like,
and Jeff Jarrett could still go.
Like, do something like what Jeff Jarrett does. Mm-hmm. Like, kind of be more backstage.
Yeah. Or build up that you're going to do your retirement tour. That would be a tour people would tune in for. Yeah. Like, if you imagine, like let's say Jericho kind of revisits his career up to his retirement. Like, he starts wrestling in CMLL more, where he started. He kind of did that. He's been in Mexico a little bit more. And have him find that again. Have him fall back in love with wrestling. And then when he gets back up to AEW, you know, you're not going to be able to send him back to the dub. That's not going to happen. But AEW has enough ex-WWE guys, you essentially can.
Yeah.
Have him revisit old rivalries from there that they can tap into.
The only one they can't do is...
Yeah, Adam Copeland's right there.
The only one they can't do is Kevin Owens, and unfortunately, I think that would be one that Jericho really wants to do again.
Yeah.
He really wants to work with... He always brings Kevin Owens up on the cruise.
Yeah, both times on the cruise, when it's brought up who he wants to bring on the cruise and who he wants to work, he always says Kevin Owens.
Yes.
Always talks about Kevin Owens.
Yes.
You could tell those two legitimately had friendship.
Yes.
That's probably why their angle works so well. But you could have Jericho, like, find all this love again, and he's like, you know what? I think I've got one more title run in me. And you could even turn him face in this process, because everybody get behind and be like, oh man, it's like it used to be. And then you have the perfect person for him to run into and end it, and that's brutal monster Moxley. Like, you could run this you could do all this in the span of 6 months. You could start it on Dynamite. Have him tell Big Bill and Brian Keith after he lost to Mark Briscoe, you know what? I don't know if I have anything to teach you guys anymore. I need to go find myself for a while.
Yeah.
And he goes away.
Yeah.
And he goes, wrestles in Mexico and everything else. And then you bring him back in time for his retirement match at Double or Nothing. You could sell a Jericho-Moxley match. A lot of people would be like, oh my god, Jericho in the world title. If it's for retirement and we've built it for months, you could sell it.
Yeah.
You could absolutely sell it. Yeah. And it would make sense because it was AEW's first pay-per-view and Jericho was there from day one.
Yeah.
So it would be very fitting to watch him go out like that.
Yeah.
But from what we've seen, that's not going to happen. But that's how I would do it. If I was the booker, that's how I would do it. But I'm not. Now, in between, before we get to the main event and talk about what happened, Jack Perry and Katsuyori Shibata wrestled in the TNT title match. And this was the match that I was like, oh, okay, because I like Shibata, but I'm not, like, drawn in by Shibata. Like, Shibata won't make me turn on the channel, but he does enough to make me stay to see what he's going to do, if that makes sense. And this match got really eventful. So, Jack Perry starts beating up Shibata. Daniel Garcia comes out, which was expected. And actually, it was posted online earlier that day. Man, Daniel Garcia would be a really good person to take that TNT title off Jack Perry. And I agreed with that. And I think about 10 minutes before he came out, I think I told you that I thought Garcia would be really good to take the title off Jack Perry.
Yeah.
So, Daniel Garcia comes out. Jack Perry's still out there. Well, then MJF comes out. And everybody's like, oh man, there's MJF. MJF comes in, has a stare down with Danielson, beats down on Daniel Garcia, starts beating up on Daniel Garcia, even stops his promo to be like, hey, hold on a second, and just punches Daniel Garcia some more. And then he gets interrupted by Adam Cole, which no one saw coming.
No.
So, like, it's weird. This little Jack Perry,
different story.
It did. This Jack Perry Katsuyori Shibata match turned into an Adam Cole and MJF, like, confrontation.
Yeah.
Which is all kinds of weird because the last time we saw Adam Cole, he had literally turned on MJF, and MJF was a face trying to recover.
Yes.
And now, as somebody pointed out in the laugh thread, we're kind of back to where we were 18 months ago before their story happened.
It's like they're just kind of forgetting that Adam Cole went off with the undisputed people. Like,
which, honestly, that story got so jacked up anyway with all the injuries and stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of don't mind them just pretending it didn't happen.
That's true. That's a good point.
Because I don't think there's much to salvage from that story. The thing that sucks about it, though, is once again, Wardlow got killed in the process of that story, and we haven't seen Wardlow in a while. I know he's doing things. He's at Toy Hire this weekend. I know that. But I don't know. And I guess the Undisputed Kingdom on Rampage and stuff have been like nicer.
Oh, so are they faces now?
I think they're kind of getting there.
Oh.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. It's cool to have Adam Cole back, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So that was like the third match of the show that all that went down.
Yeah.
So by 9 o'clock, the show started at 8. By 9 o'clock, we had Adam Cole and MJF and Daniel Garcia all involved in a big story moving forward.
Yeah.
Which ended up being really good. We also had a rare pay-per-view segment from AEW, which is they don't do very often. They had Swerve out there with MVP. And everybody thought that Swerve was going to dump Nana. This is where it was going to happen. And Swerve would be like, Nana, there are some things that annoy me about you. And, I lost all these things while you were my manager. And they really played it up for a little bit. And then Swerve pretty much told Shelton Benjamin, and Swerve did a great job of getting Shelton Benjamin his flowers. I think Shelton Benjamin is somebody that gets overlooked a lot for his contributions.
Yeah.
Shelton Benjamin was kind of doing the aerial acrobatic stuff before it got popular.
Yeah.
Like, he's really fun in old Money in the Bank ladder matches. He's usually the highlight of them.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see him get his flowers, especially from Swerve. And Swerve to point out, because of what you did, like, you helped black wrestlers get on the map with what you did, too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And then he told Shelton Benjamin and MVP where they can go, where they can stick it. And a lot of people were like, oh, man, that segment was a waste. They could have done it on a Dynamite. Bobby Lashley didn't even debut. I'm sorry, about an hour before we had MJF and Adam Cole come back, I think Bobby Lashley would have got lost in the shuffle as far as showing up.
I'm sorry, I'm not even a big Bobby Lashley fan, so I wouldn't have cared. I'm more excited that MJF and Adam Cole came back myself. But,
Yeah. But with all that being said, so it was a really good show leading up to this point. And then we got to the main event, which was also good. But once we got to the main event, that's where the stakes were raised even higher. Okay, so Mock comes out. He only brings Marina Shafir out with him, which Marina Shafir in this match was a great villain. The crowd was so angry at her.
I know.
Through the whole thing. And,
really were.
And they gave such a big pop when she got kicked out. But then Danielson came out to the final countdown, and it was kind of like an Anarchy in the Arena match. They already started fighting, and the final countdown just kept playing.
I know.
It was like Tony Khan was like, I paid for this song, I'm going to play the whole damn thing.
Just end the song now.
But it's just kind of funny to just watch these two kill each other while that song's playing. Like, they got cable wires out and were strangling each other. They did all that stuff before the match started because otherwise it would have been a disqualification. So it was a pretty straightforward match in the ring. It was a wrestling match. There wasn't that much hardcore going on. Marina Shafir would interfere. They pulled back the mat, did some spots on the concrete on the floor. But it wasn't... I think the strangest thing with this whole show was I think this is the first AEW pay-per-view I've seen where no blood was spilled. Danielson had a little red spot above his eye. But other than that, like, WWE looked like a smut film at Bad Blood compared to... Or not smut film, a snuff film. A snuff film.
I was like a
compared
porn?
to I mean, there was a lot of hatred between Drew and CM Punk. I think they had a hate done it right there in the ring if they could. But no, a snuff film compared to AEW, which is really surprising because I thought Danielson was going to bleed buckets in this match.
Or Moxley hasn't been bleeding that much lately.
No, he hasn't, which is very strange. But it was really good. Like, the match itself was really good. I mean, those two have chemistry. You can tell that they have history and they're friends, which is funny because you said on Total Divas they didn't really understand each other.
Yeah.
But, like I told you at the same time, I don't think that's Moxley's environment. Like, something about that tells me Moxley's not interested in something like that. Like, I feel like whenever, like, Moxley and Renee go out together, I feel like it's like when me and you go out together. Like, me and Renee are the social ones that get the plans going, and you and Moxley just sit there wondering when it's time to go home. Like, yeah. I think that's how it goes.
Maybe, yeah.
I could be wrong. John Moxley may be the most social guy in the world, but he just doesn't give off that vibe. But the match did end by Danielson passing out in the sleeper hold from Moxley. I kind of felt like the match kind of ended abruptly because it seemed like they were doing one more hook spot for Danielson, and then he just gave out and then went to sleep, and it kind of took the air out of the crowd too.
It did. Because you could hear people groan. They were like, no!
Yeah.
Because that meant that he's going to finish his full-time wrestling. Yeah. Danielson's going to go to, part-time?
He said 10 or 11 matches a year, and people were like, that's how many pay-per-views AEW has, so you're going to wrestle each pay-per-view? But he might do some dates in Japan, because right now he's a free agent. He doesn't have a contract anywhere. Yeah. He could go wrestle in WWE tomorrow. But he's already said he doesn't envision himself going back there. Which, I kind of feel like he went out in a good way. He literally went out by getting killed by the tribal chief. That's about as well as it could end for you. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything there. They don't need him. Honestly. WWE doesn't really need Bryan Danielson.
Everybody could use a Bryan Danielson.
They could use him, and they'd be happy to have him, but they don't need him.
Everybody needs a Bryan Danielson.
Okay. Well, anyway. So, after that, Claudio and Pat come out, and it's time for the Wolves to attack. Wheeler Yuta comes out, and I told you at Dynamite, I was like, I'll bet you Wheeler turns.
I mean, everybody probably saw the turn coming.
Mm-hmm. But like, I just told you.
It's very wrestling style.
But I told you, I was like, I don't trust Wheeler. And Wheeler came out there, and Wheeler was checking on Danielson, and Darby Allin was out there too. Darby Allin had come out to help. Mm-hmm. And Darby had his back turned, and Wheeler turned and slowly looked. And I looked at you, and I was like, Wheeler's doing it. He's going to kill Darby Allin.
Yeah.
So then Wheeler attacked Darby Allin. Wheeler was the one that put Danielson back in a plastic bag.
He looked so conflicted at the same time.
He did. This is a chance to make Wheeler Yuta really interesting, and I hope they do it. Because Wheeler can go. Like, there's no question Wheeler can go. Let's make him interesting. I've seen a lot of people say this is the most interesting Moxley's been in a while.
Marina Shafir has never been this interesting before.
Yeah. But I guess I found out, I guess Moxley's been high on her for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's been a fan of hers for some time. Which good for her. She has the looks for the role that she's in.
Yeah, she does.
She does. Like, at one point, like, the crowd got so mad because she was, like, just kneeing Danielson in the head while Danielson's head was hanging off the apron. And when Bryce Remsburg looked over, she just, like, did this little wave to him like this, and the crowd just booed so... It was like, that's such a bitchy thing to do. And it worked really well. She's done really good at building heat with what's going on.
She never got any reaction before, ever.
No, and now she gets a pretty sizable one.
Yes.
She does. So, Danielson's done, full time. They did an angle to take him out. Claudio stomped on a chair that was around his neck. That was after the plastic bag. So they took him out on a stretcher and everything else. And there was another interesting touch in this match was Nigel McGuinness's commentary.
Yeah.
Because at one point, Nigel McGuinness was talking about, it was going to be the end of Bryan Danielson. He sounded so happy about it through the whole show. Like, at one point in the night, he said, any night's a good night for Bryan Danielson to lose at some point. And during the match, as they beat him down more and more, and he kept coming back, as Moxley was doing this, Nigel's tune started to change on commentary. And at one point, Moxley even went over and pulled off his headset. And I told you, I said, I wonder if Nigel's going to get involved. Because it would be really weird for Nigel to do all that prep to come back to wrestle Bryan Danielson and be done. But,
I mean, unless that's just what he wanted to do.
Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. They probably wanted to get that in because they knew Danielson's days were numbered.
Yeah.
A lot of people said this kind of feels like Danielson didn't have as much time as he thought, and things kind of got
they kept talking about how his neck was bad, so I'm kind of wondering if his neck is worse than I thought. Well,
I guess it came out last night. Everything that people had said they thought was story that Danielson was saying, and actually it wasn't, and Danielson even admitted by the time he got to Wrestledream, he's like, there's probably a couple matches in there I shouldn't have done up until this point because it took some time away.
Yeah. But he just couldn't resist it. He loves to get hurt.
Because it's an addiction. Yes. It's an addiction.
Yes.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We had a great trip, and that's why we didn't go. But I am kind of disappointed we didn't catch Danielson and Okada on the way out.
Yes, because I love him, and I've never got to see him wrestle.
So we will, if he's wrestling at another show that's anywhere near us, we'll make sure to go check it out. Like, if they do another pay-per-view...
Because I wasn't able to do the meet and greet because we had something going on.
Well, he had to cancel that anyway. So that at the WrestleCade or whatever it was, he had to cancel that anyway.
Oh, man.
But no, if they do if they do another pay-per-view in Baltimore or something, we'll go if he's wrestling.
Yeah.
Just to get that fill. Because Bryan Danielson's a special talent. Like, a lot of people have said he's your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler.
I agree with that one.
Yeah. Like, they were talking, I guess Swerve was talking, and they were asking about the tap out, and Swerve was like, listen, he was like, I don't know where it came from, that tapping out in wrestling makes you look weak. He was like, but it absolutely does not. Like, he was like, it makes you look like you know that you're caught, and you're going to get out to fight another day. He said, I don't know where it came out that tapping makes you look weak.
Brian thing? Oh.
Yeah, because he tapped, and a lot of people were like, why didn't he just pass out? And he was like, that's done so much. He was like, a tap out should mean something. Like, I can't go anymore. I got to get out of here. I know something's going to happen if I don't. I agree with him. I agree with his take on that.
My little best friend.
Yeah. So anyway, but as I say that, Danielson did pass out. But once the assault was over, Orange Cassidy came out to help, which Orange Cassidy had a conversation with Jerry Lynn earlier in the pay-per-view where he was talking about how he thinks Orange Cassidy should pretty much go after the world title. So I think we're going to revisit Moxley and Orange Cassidy, which is fine because those two had a really fun match when Orange had the international title.
And that makes sense because I was like, why did Blackpool Combat Club all like disperse when Orange came out? I was like, what's so threatening about Orange Cassidy? But I guess if he's going after that title, I guess they do want to make him seem like a threat. Yeah.
And they didn't have Kyle O'Reilly come out because they actually played the other conglomeration pieces really well. Because Mark Briscoe had just had his match with Jericho, and Kyle O'Reilly had been barred from the building because he got in a fist fight with Okada. So I guess we're going to get him and Okada coming up, which will be really fun. So that was really planned out well as well. So this whole angle, while it deflated the building, I think it played out well, and it probably played out exactly as Bryan Danielson wanted it to.
That's probably how he wanted it to. He's like, I want to go out being murdered.
Yeah.
I want it to look like there's no hope.
I saw another comment that said that Bryan Danielson would be the kind of sick bastard that would be like, man, all these people would be so overjoyed if I won. It would tear the roof off the building, and that's why I should not only lose but be killed. Like he's the kind that would do that.
Yes.
Because Bryan Danielson he's one of the most selfless wrestlers out there. They had to beg him to take the title. And I'm kind of glad they did. I was upset at the time that Swerve lost, but it's a good way to get the title back on Moxley for Moxley to go on a monster run. And what makes this interesting, too, is with the results of the pay-per-view, every AEW champion right now is a heel. And that's the first time that's happened since 2021.
I like it.
Yeah, it sets up a lot of good babyface chases. So let's build up some good baby faces. I've told you, if the Outrunners are still this hot in 6 months, have them take the titles.
I love the Outrunners.
A lot of people do.
They're like a not as problematic twins of Hulk Hogan. It's like two Hulk Hogan twins that hopefully aren't problematic like him.
I've seen a lot of people make comparisons of the Outrunners to Danhausen. Like a goofy gimmick that gets really over and sells a lot of merch, but you don't know if they should hold your title.
Yeah.
I can see that, but the Outrunners also can go. Not to say Danhausen can't, but the Outrunners are in there holding their own with FTR, Grizzled Young Veterans. They're legit good. You could do this with them. That would be something fun to do. I said a couple weeks ago, do something with the MXM collection. Do something with both of them. Your tag division's kind of...
people really like those, the Maximum... What are they called? Maximum Male Models?
They were in WWE. Now they're the MXM collection.
Oh.
That's who they are now.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But they're over.
They are. They're very
so
over.
Funny with... they're funny.
Mm-hmm.
They're goofy.
Yeah, and you can have goofy wrestlers win titles. You just have to do it right.
Yeah.
It can be done.
Yeah.
I don't think a goofy wrestler being world champion probably works all that much. I'm never going to see R-Truth as world champion material, but as a tag champ and a mid-card champ, sure. Yeah. And he's done those.
Yeah.
He was a world champ at TNA. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Danielson's full-time in career is done. There's nothing really I could say that adds to anything. If you're a wrestling fan, Bryan Danielson, you have some sort of respect for him. He may not always be your cup of tea, but there's no doubt the influences he's had on the industry with everything that he's done. And it seems like also the guy in real life is he's definitely it's okay to meet your heroes type. Because he seems to be a really, really good dude and really solid and likes working with everybody. So, hats off to him for getting all this. We thought, you and I, when we first started watching wrestling, we didn't think we'd see Bryan Danielson wrestle again. And we not only got a great heel champion run in WWE, he went out going against the Tribal Chief, which is a great way to go out. He got a WrestleMania main event with him, Roman, and Edge, which kicked all the ass. And then he came over to AEW and went on just a dream match spree. Literally came over and was like, I want to wrestle this person, this person, this person, this person. And it was a great list. And he put on some phenomenal matches in AEW. So, go home, rest, be with your family. Thanks for everything that you've given the industry and for the influence you've had on some of the people that are some of my favorites. And, you know, we'll see you when we see you, but get healthy.
And thank you for all the penis jokes you do.
Okay, so switching gears over to WWE. So WWE had Bad Blood last week. And it was a good show. Punk and McIntyre killed it in the opener with Hell in a Cell. Mm-hmm. I mean, they never left the cell. It stayed in the ring. Like, it was a very, I don't want to say basic Hell in a Cell, but they didn't there wasn't any lavishments. It was two dudes in a box trying to kill each other, which I think served this story really well. And kudos to McIntyre. McIntyre blood buckets in this match.
I literally could see blood pouring out of his head at one point.
And the fact that, like, they wanted to send a doctor in there and Drew McIntyre was, don't you dare. They even, like, the crowd, like, wrestling fans can be so bloodthirsty. Like, the ref took a towel to Drew McIntyre and everybody started booing. And at one point, and it's like McIntyre knew it too, because at one point he came back with the towel, McIntyre took it and threw it. And he was just, and a lot of people were like, that was a great way for McIntyre to also keep in character, because he wouldn't care. If he was going to die, he was going to take CM Punk to hell with him. Like, that was the goal. That was the plan. But just a really solid match. A lot of people saying it was the best Hell in a Cell match since Cody and Seth. I think it might be the only one since Cody and Seth, because Triple H doesn't do these matches all willy-nilly. But I've heard a lot of people call this a top 5 Cell match as far as the brutality. I don't disagree. People put it up there with Seth and Cody, the original with Michaels and Undertaker, which Michaels also blood buckets in that match. That was also Kane's debut. And of course, Mick Foley and Undertaker in Pittsburgh, King of the Ring. Which I don't really know if I call that a Hell in a Cell match so much as just a murder. But, you know, and it was really cool. We got to meet Mick Foley on the anniversary of that in Pittsburgh. It was really cool. But no, it was an outstanding Cell match. And then you had Nia Jax and Bayley. Nia Jax and Bayley, nothing really significant happened. Like, Tiffany Stratton teased to cash in. Like, I don't know that this couldn't have happened on, like, SmackDown for the same effect. It was a fine match, but nothing really to write home about.
It wasn't low as Meltzer scored it. I think it was better than what he scored it. He didn't even give it 2 stars. Mm-hmm. I think it was better than that, and I think Nia Jax has proved that she's been working on getting safer. Yeah. So, but there's nothing wrong with it. It wasn't great. Nothing wrong with it though either.
No, it just kind of came and went. Yeah. We're still teasing Tiffany. Tiffany might end up doing something at the next Premium Live event, which we'll talk about here in a minute because I'm already mad at it. After that, the middle match was Finn and Damian. Finn and Damian also was fine. I could see it happening on Raw. There wasn't really a stiff. The Judgment Day interfered. Damian made them all look like goons.
As usual, yeah.
I am normally somebody that I really like Triple H's booking. I really feel like we had some missteps with this Damian and Finn feud. I think the Judgment Day had been made too much to look like weenies. Too much. Yeah. And, like, the story's there. I just don't know that it's not as strong as it could be. It should be on the level of Punk and McIntyre, and it doesn't feel anywhere near.
Like, it's because the Judgment Day never wins. Mm-hmm. They've got to win to feel like a threat, and they never do.
Yeah. So it's just crazy to me, like, as well-told stories as we've had, like, with the Bloodline and with Punk and Drew, it's weird that we've missed the mark on Damian and Finn. Because they've been in the same stable for a couple years. Like, there should be some real heat here, and it just doesn't feel like there is.
No.
And that's not a discredit to Priest and Finn Balor. I think that falls on booking, honestly. Yeah. Because those two dudes are trying. It's just not... I'm just not as invested as I feel like I should be when it comes to those two.
Agreed.
Match after that, we had Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. And this one didn't have a definitive finish either. And I kind of wish it would have, because I'm kind of done with these two.
Me too.
I'm kind of done. But it seems like it's going to keep going. Because of all people...
I'm ready for the Terror Twins and Judgment Day to just separate.
Yeah, I would like to see Damian and Rhea go to, like, SmackDown.
Yeah, just keep them away from them.
Yeah, I think there's more for them to do over there.
Yeah.
Or send Judgment Day over to SmackDown. But you can't, because Finn Balor and JD McDonough have the tag titles over on Raw that they never defend. So we got to get those off of them first, and we don't really have any teams built up on Raw to take it from them, unfortunately. The tag division's kind of suffered under Triple H ever since they separated the belts. which is really interesting because NXT's tag division, when he was running NXT, was always
great,
stellar.
yeah.
It was stellar. It was the best tag team division in wrestling until AEW came along. It was fantastic. We had an appearance by, of all people, Raquel Rodriguez. It was a funny setup because Dom was stuck on the shark cage hanging upside down. And it's funny because I had a thought. I was like, man, they always dangle the shark cage over the ring. Why aren't they? And then they showed an angle and I was like, oh yeah, the cell's up there.
Yeah.
So Dom's hanging down and Rhea's beating him like a pinata with a kendo stick, which is a really fun spot. And then, I don't know if it's the camera work didn't catch it or what, but somebody just comes up and shoves Rhea from behind. And then everybody's like, well, who is that? Who is that? And then it's Raquel Rodriguez.
There's no reaction.
And there was no pop. There was no...
That's what happens when you just backflex.
She ain't backflexing now.
She's not.
No. So she's kind of hanging out with Rhea and Liv and Dom. And Liv and Dom aren't really hanging out with the Judgment Day. They're kind of spending more time with Raquel. So is Raquel part of the Judgment Day? Things are getting a little murky.
Didn't they start to say that she was part of it, and then they cut... they did a segment with Raquel, Liv, and Dom at Raw, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
And didn't they start to say something like, oh, that means she's... And then Dom, cut them off, or somebody cut them off?
Maybe that sounds about right.
Yeah, so I feel like they're, teasing, oh, is she, isn't she? But,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care enough about Raquel to care if she's a member of it.
Mm-hmm.
You were boring, and you weren't that great of a wrestler, so, I don't give a shit if she's in Judgment Day.
So there's no investment for you in this.
No, and I loved Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
And Judgment Day now is like the Kmart Judgment Day, which, no offense to Kmart, I liked Kmart. I like the people in Judgment Day, minus Raquel if she's in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just...
I've seen a lot of people say that the Judgment Day story is becoming a less well-executed version of what's going on with the Bloodline. I've seen that.
It's like the same story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have seen that brought up.
I enjoy the people in Judgment Day, so it's not I hate everything about them. It's just they're not as great as the original. Well, not the original. The second reincarnation of Judgment Day, not including Edge.
Yeah,
that original Judgment Day.
even this is gonna be a really funny nitpick. Even their logo isn't as interesting. The original Judgment Day logo, they had the people with the robes and the sides, and they look like judges kind of deal.
Yeah.
Now it just looks like a stamp. And it just says Judgment Day established 2022. It's not nearly as interesting as the hooded figures kind of deal.
I didn't really notice that.
Yeah, they look like ring wraiths.
Are you talking about the 3D thing that they do?
No. I'm talking about just the logo, what's on the Tron itself.
Oh,
that's what I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No, I don't care about the 3D art. No. Although I will give credit, there were a couple cool shots where they did a view of the city they were in and the Judgment Day was over it. That looked cool.
Yeah.
That's somewhere where that worked really well. But no, I'm just talking about their logo in general on the Tron.
Yeah,
on the screen.
Gotcha.
Yeah, next time we watch Raw, I'll point it out to you and I'll show you.
Okay.
With that being said, the main event, we had Cody and Roman against Solo and Jacob. This match was fun, but it was also your typical Roman Reigns match. It took a minute to get going. It's very theatrical.
And then you add Cody into it as well, who's also theatrical. And there was, I don't remember what it was, but at one point in time I looked at you and I was like, that was so theatrical.
It was the tag-in.
Oh my God.
It was the tag-in, because Cody stood there forever, holding his hand out.
I was like, just freaking tag already. Enough.
I've seen a lot of people say that if you would cut,
those two together,
cut the Cody and Roman theatrics and the entrances and the mannerisms,
you
could fit another women's match in there.
Yes, you could. I'm so sorry. I know you love Cody, but we should not have to wait 3 minutes for you to decide if you want to tag somebody in.
Well, to be fair, and to take it for Cody only gets that way when Roman's around. When he's wrestling one-on-one, he's pretty to the point.
Cody's always theatrical. What are you talking about?
He is, but he's more to the point in a one-on-one match. That's not against Roman.
He has no one to go off of like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's still theatrical.
I'm trying to throw Roman under the bus for this. But no, for real, I understand it's a big deal and it's theatrical, but come on. You have other talent that could have had spots on the card. Come on.
Yes.
But anyway, one of my favorite moments in the match is when Jacob was on the table and Cody was up on the turnbuckle getting ready to jump on Jacob down on the announcer's table, like when Jacob hurt himself when Roman returned. And I just love it. A lot of people pointed out, Cody looks over at Roman, points at him, salutes, and then just yeets himself off the ring.
No yeet.
And it just looks really funny just to watch Cody be like, thanks, I'll see ya. Woo!
Yeah.
Off he goes. But Cody and Roman ended up winning the match because Big Jim's back. So we got Jimmy Uso back.
Big Jim.
Which I kind of wondered because earlier, one of the matches, I think it was during Punk and McIntyre, the ring apron got lifted up and I saw the monitor under there. And I told you, I was like, there's a monitor there. Somebody's watching for a cue. And then when I realized it was Jimmy Uso, when I watched later, I was like, holy shit, Jimmy Uso was under there for almost 3 hours.
He just enjoyed the whole pay-per-view under there. Or premium life of it under the ring.
I just want to imagine.
That would be so boring.
It would, but I imagine Jimmy Uso would be able to entertain himself. Because Jimmy Uso has a big personality, so I could just see him sitting under the ring and be like, oh yeah. Just enjoying the show. I could see it. But he's back. And then at the end of this match, Cody's getting it beat down by the Tongans and Jacob. And Roman and Jimmy are in the aisle. I wanted to say Jim, and Jimmy.
I know.
They were in the aisle, and Jimmy was like, hey, I'll do whatever you want to do. If you want to go help him, we'll go. If you don't, we'll go. And Roman was like, all right, let's go help him. So then they go help him. So they get Cody relieved. And it looks like the show's about to end with Cody and Jimmy and Roman standing in the ring together. And then just when it's like, okay, the show's over, If You Smell comes on, and everybody's like, oh my God. And Rock comes out. Rock stays on the stage, looks at what's going on, looks absolutely disgusted, and then just counts down, and then his music starts again and he leaves.
Yeah.
So now The Rock is aware of what's going on, which has dialed up the interest in this.
And I don't know, is he upset about what's happening with, the original Tribal Chief stuff, or, Solo's Tribal Chief?
Yeah, is he mad that Solo's not getting the job done?
Who knows?
That's very true. See, this is the difference. Damian makes the Judgment Day look like buffoons most of the time, and nothing happens. Roman has bested Solo and his crew most of the time. This time when they didn't, The Rock showed up. Stakes have been added. Yeah. This is how you can make... Because a lot of people brought that up. They were like, the new bloodline has looked weak ever since Roman came back. Now the stakes have been risen. This is how you do that. I feel like
they've looked weak at all since Roman. Roman's only been back twice. Twice! So what do you mean since Roman's come back? Come on, guys. He's only been back twice when Solo's tribal chiefness has been there every week. I will take the second rate, whatever you're thinking, to somebody that shows up once every year.
I love how you turned that into a noun. His tribal chiefness.
I know,
So are you saying that you acknowledge Solo as your tribal chief?
I don't really acknowledge either, but I'm just saying I think people are being too harsh on Solo because at least he comes to work. And since Roman's been back, is a bullshit excuse to me because he's been back twice. Twice.
Well, despite all of that, Bad Blood wasn't done. So the show goes off, and most people go to bed when it's over. It started a little early. I kind of wonder if this is why it started early, to get people to stick around. Yeah, but we also watched it the next day. But anyway... And you didn't go to bed, we watched it in the morning. Anyway, so I guess, I don't know when it happened. We've never seen a clip of it because they're being hush-hush with it for story purposes. But Kevin Owens jumped Cody Rhodes in the parking lot.
I saw a clip of it, really.
Did you?
Really 5-second clip. Where he confronts him or something.
So then they told the story that they're going to address it internally, and Kevin Owens isn't allowed to be anywhere. Well, Kevin Owens then showed up on Raw, or on SmackDown. And a lot of people got mad because he interrupted Metaphor, and people were like, oh, really? But the match ended up happening.
These girls were called up from NXT, and you get interrupted.
Well, they still got to have their match.
Honestly, though, if I were them, thinking of it as a wrestler standpoint, I'd be like, oh my God, I get to go do this match on SmackDown, and we get interrupted by Kevin Owens. I'd be like, heck yeah, actually.
And then they still got to have their match, and they got to beat the hell out of Bianca Belair for a little bit. It was a quick match. It didn't even last a commercial break, but they look good.
They did get done dirty. I feel like, I wish they wouldn't, if he wouldn't have interrupted, but they've got a longer match to, not get done so quickly,
I don't know.
But,
I saw a few people point out that as long, because Naomi and Nia Jax had a match later in the night, as long as they got for their match, Kevin Owens could have interrupted that segment and given some time back to...
And plus, it would have made more sense because Naomi is married to Big Jim. Mm-hmm. So it's like a connection to the bloodline with her.
Yeah, this is true. This is very true. So anyway, Kevin Owens comes out and cuts that, and then Cody comes out of the back with all the security, and Jakara and Lash Legend are just kind of off to the side. They're like, what did we just walk into? So then all the security comes up. Randy Orton comes out. Randy Orton tells Cody, he's like, Cody, calm down. I'm going to go take care of Kevin. You just wait here. Calm down. So then Orton legs it to the ring. Orton is trying to tell Kevin Owens, he's like, Owens is trying to get out there, and Randy's like pushing him back. He's like, no, come on, stay here. Let's talk about it. Which is funny because Randy Orton's become the voice of reason, which is a hilarious timeline to be in.
I guess he doesn't hear them voices in his head anymore.
He's going to in a little bit. So Orton's kind of holding KO back from behind, and KO throws an elbow and hits Orton in the face. This is all happening on SmackDown, which is really interesting. It made SmackDown the most interesting it's been in a minute.
I always enjoy SmackDown.
Yeah. But, so he throws an elbow at Orton. Orton gets up and just punches KO in the face. And KO looks so hurt.
He does.
Like, he's just sitting on the ring and he's like, why did you hit me? Like, what did I do? Like, why am I in the wrong? So, I love the idea that Owens is literally going into, is everybody in here crazy except me? Like, is anybody in here else seeing a problem? And Kevin Owens they've built him up to be the perfect character to question that logic.
Yeah. Because he's always been like, breaking the fourth wall
he
character.
Has, and now it's become useful. It was funny, now it's useful.
Yeah.
So Randy Orton is at Cody's bus, and Cody's like, Randy's telling Cody, get on the bus, get out of here, I'll talk to KO, I'll smooth this over. Well, then we get another segment later where KO has laid out Randy Orton in the parking lot. So Kevin Owens has come unhinged. So now SmackDown has two extremely interesting stories going on right now out of fallout from Bad Blood. So good job, SmackDown. And you're happy because Raw's now 2 hours, so it goes by even quicker.
Yeah, but then eventually they're both Raw and SmackDown are both going to be 3 hours.
Well, just enjoy it for the next couple months until the Netflix move.
Nobody has time for this shit, guys. I barely make it through all the wrestling now. Mm-hmm. Add another hour to it. You're killing me.
Yeah. But, so Bad Blood was a decent show. It did set up some stuff moving forward. Our next premium live event is Crown Jewel. If you've watched this channel, you know we don't watch the Saudi shows. And a big F you to Saudi for taking the Gunther and Cody match that I've been asking for months. I hate you, Saudi Arabia. I hate you with my soul. I hate how you treat people. And I hate how you took my Cody Gunther match.
I feel like
Assholes.
you're more upset about the fact that they took your Cody Gunther match because, let's be real, you've never once made that statement until they took your match away that you've been wanting.
No, I always have thought. I have my thoughts about Saudi Arabia, but I actually had, like, they're also doing Liv Morgan and Nia Jax. You can have that one. I'm not as interested in that one. You can have that one. But Cody and Gunther feels like a slap in the face. Because I've been asking for this match for freaking months.
Yeah.
I wanted Gunther to dethrone Cody
and that's
at SummerSlam 2 months ago.
They're having it there, too.
I know.
I want to reel you in.
So upset. So upset. They took Gunther and Randy Orton, which I got that back. And it was good when I got it back. So, okay, fine. But you better run back Cody and Gunther at some point. Like, it's been built up for 2 Rumbles. I've been asking for it for, like, a year now. I'm so upset. So upset at the Saudi shows. I hate the Saudi shows. But, despite the fact, I will not watch the Saudi show as much as I want to watch Cody and Gunther. I'm not watching it. I'm sticking to my guns on that one. But, moving forward, AEW has some stuff to build out of coming out of Wrestledream. WWE is going to continue to build till they do their Saudi show, and then we'll get the real interesting stuff at Survivor Series, which is after. This is why, yes, I'm mad at the Saudi show, but War Games is right behind it, so my excitement's still there, because I love War Games. So we'll see how it goes. You know, that's going to do it for this week's show. Make sure to find us on the socials, like, subscribe, comment on the channel. It does help us out. Hit the bell if you're not subscribed. Be careful, though. Even with the bell, sometimes YouTube doesn't bother to tell me that we posted a video until like 2 days later. So also check the channel from time to time if you get the chance. There won't be a show next week. We'll be out of town, so I know our schedule's been kind of sporadic lately. But there won't be a show next week. And after that, I don't know what our schedule's going to look like going into the end of the year. But we'll see when we get there what we decide to do. We'll keep you guys updated on here as we know. Otherwise, go find some wrestling to watch. If you're not into WWE or AEW, there's numerous other options, numerous other avenues to go watch. And we'll see you guys the next time we see you.
Later.